Have you ever wondered what you'd do if you stumbled upon a creature straight out of legend? For Sarah, a reclusive wildlife photographer living deep in the Pacific Northwest, that question became her reality. One stormy afternoon, while seeking shelter under a canopy of ancient redwoods, she heard a sound that wasn't thunder or rain. It was a faint, desperate whimper. Cautiously, she followed the cry to a hollowed-out log, and what she found inside made her heart stop. Curled into a shivering ball was a baby, covered in thick, dark fur, with eyes that were startlingly human-like. It was undeniably, impossibly, a Bigfoot infant. There was no sign of its parents, only the eerie silence of the post-storm forest. The little creature was weak, alone, and terrified. Every instinct in Sarah screamed at her to leave it, to not interfere with nature. But looking into those wide, trusting eyes, she couldn't. She knew it wouldn't survive the night on its own. So she made a decision that would change her life forever. She gently scooped up the baby, wrapped it in her waterproof jacket, and carried it back to her secluded cabin. She named him Ben. The first few weeks were a whirlwind of trial and error. What does a baby Bigfoot eat? After trying various fruits and vegetables, she discovered Ben had a surprising appetite for mashed yams and wild berries. He was a clumsy, curious toddler, constantly tripping over his own large feet and exploring every corner of her small cabin with wide-eyed wonder. He'd try to mimic her, picking up her camera and peering through the lens upside down, or attempting to read a book by patting the pages. Sarah documented everything, her camera roll filling not with wild animals, but with the daily life of her secret, impossible child. Living with a growing Bigfoot wasn't easy. Sarah's life became one of extreme secrecy. She stopped going into the nearby town, ordering supplies online for delivery to a drop-off point miles away. Her friends' calls went unanswered, replaced by excuses of being on a deep wilderness assignment. The fear of discovery was a constant shadow. What would people do if they found out? Would they see Ben as a wonder or a monster to be captured and studied? The thought terrified her. Ben was not a specimen. He was her family. He was gentle, playful, and incredibly affectionate, often wrapping his long arms around her in a hug that could lift her off her feet. As the months turned into years, Ben grew and he grew fast. Soon he was taller than her, a gentle giant who had to duck to get through the doorways of the cabin. His whimpers had deepened into a series of complex grunts and soft rumbles that Sarah began to understand. They had their own language, a mix of gesture, sound, and a deep, unspoken connection. They'd spend their days exploring the vast forest that was their backyard. Sarah taught him which plants were safe to eat, and Ben, with his incredible strength and innate forest sense, often saved her from stumbles or pointed out hidden animal trails she'd never have noticed. He was a teenager now, in Bigfoot years, and with his burgeoning size came a deep, restless yearning. Sarah would often find him staring out at the distant mountain peaks, a low, melancholic rumble in his chest. He was drawn to the wild in a way he never had been before. The cabin, once a safe haven, was becoming a cage. Sarah knew, with a mother's aching heart, that he was longing for his own kind, for a world where he didn't have to hide. She saw the loneliness in his eyes, a loneliness she couldn't cure. The day she'd been dreading arrived on a crisp autumn morning. The air was filled with an unusual energy. From deep within the woods came a sound Sarah had never heard before, series of powerful, resonant calls that echoed through the valleys. Ben froze, his head snapping up. He answered with a call of his own, a sound so deep and full of longing it shook Sarah to her core. It was a sound of belonging. He looked at Sarah, his expressive eyes filled with a mix of excitement and sorrow. He knew, and she knew, that his family had come for him. At the edge of the tree line, two colossal figures emerged from the mist. They were magnificent, towering over the tallest pines, their presence both intimidating and profoundly gentle. They were undeniably adult Bigfoots. One of them, a female with kind, knowing eyes, looked directly at Sarah, then at Ben. There was no menace, only a silent acknowledgement, a thank you. Ben moved towards them, then hesitated, turning back to look at Sarah one last time. He walked back to her and enveloped her in one final, bone-crushing hug. In that embrace, years of unspoken love, gratitude, and a painful goodbye were exchanged. Then, with a final soft pat on her shoulder, he turned and walked towards his family. He didn't look back again. Sarah stood there, tears streaming down her face. As the three figures melted back into the forest, their calls fading into the distance until there was only the sound of the wind in the trees, her secret was over. Her heart was broken, but it was also full. She had raised a legend, loved a creature from another world, and had given him back to the wild where he belonged. It was the hardest, most beautiful act of love she had ever known. Sarah never saw Ben again, but sometimes, on quiet nights, she thinks she hears a familiar, deep call echoing from the distant mountains, and she smiles. She goes back to her photography, but now her work has a new depth, a new understanding of the wild and its hidden wonders. Her photographs capture not just the beauty of the wilderness, but the soul of it. Because she knows, better than anyone, that the forest holds more secrets and more love than any of us could ever imagine. Thank you so much for watching this story unfold with us. If you were touched by Sarah and Ben's journey, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel for more tales that explore the deep connections of the heart. We'd love to have you in our community. See you in the next video.